Welcome back, my beer-loving friends from all over the world. Thank you for joining us. You know, there's a saying about beer that beer is liquid bread, and we're going to be exploring a beer that embodies that very statement. We're going to talk about, well, I'll leave that to the review. Anyhow, we're going to find out what makes it tick, and we're going to do it on... Now, let's get started with our beer review. But beforehand, we're going to talk a little bit about, well, the style of beer. Now, like I mentioned in the intro, beer is considered liquid bread. And in our beer today, we're going to find out exactly what that means. Now, what we've got today is what's called a wheat beer. Well, more specifically, an American wheat beer. It's a little bit different style from what they have over in Europe, usually in Belgium, some in Munich, and we're going to learn a little bit about this type of beer. We're going to find out what makes that beer a wheat beer, and some of the different styles of the wheat beer. As I mentioned earlier, a wheat beer is that liquid bread. Now, naturally, we're going to have wheat in our bread. And yes, back in the malting days, back in Bavaria, back in Belgium, they used a good amount of malted wheat in their beers. And it made an unusual flavor, it made an unusual beer. It actually gave it a lot more body, and believe it or not, it actually is a very ancient kind of beer, if you think about it. The Assyrians, the Phoenicians, the Egyptians, right, would take their grains, usually wheat, some barley, some other types of grains. They would semi-malt them and they would ferment them. Not on purpose, it just naturally happened. That was actually the beginnings of what we call liquid bread. In a lot of cases, they would pay their workers in this beer. So you would have a lot of people drinking it, getting a lot of good carbs, getting a lot of good energy, and then being able to produce a lot more work. It was very valuable back in those days. It came into Europe as a beer, and you have the Munich styles of these beers, which we'll go into. We have the Belgian styles of beers, and then it followed over to America with the American wheat. Now, we're going to be looking at an American wheat beer today, but we're going to be talking about beers as is. Now, I'm going to go over a few styles here. First of all, this is an American wheat beer. Now, I'm going to read right off the Beer Judge Certification Program style guidelines. I'm not going to read the whole thing, of course, but I am going to read what they say about the American wheat beer style. The American wheat beer style: a pale, refreshingly grainy, doughy, and bready wheat beer with a clean fermentation profile and a variable hop characteristic and bitterness. Its lighter body and higher carbonation contribute to its easily drinking nature. We're going to find that out too. Now, the beer that I have today, of course, is something that I've had before. It is a wheat beer, American wheat beer that is, and we're going to find out if these characteristics are present there in that beer. I think they are. Now, they say here that it's going to be low to moderate grainy, bready, or doughy wheat character. A light to moderate malty sweetness is acceptable, so it doesn't necessarily need to be full-bodied malt. Now, the aroma needs to be usually pale, grainy, bready, doughy, wheaty character. Moderate esters optional, usually a neutral profile. Okay, banana is acceptable, and we're going to get into that in just a few minutes. Low to moderate citrusy, spicy, floral, or fruity hop aroma. Typically dry hopped, no clove phenols. Appearance is pale yellow to gold. Clarity may range from brilliant to hazy. Yeast approximating a Weiss beer. We'll talk about that in a minute. But long-lasting white head. So there's a lot of styles of wheat beers. Usually they're going to come from Belgium or Germany, or specifically the Bavarian area, Munich area. They're going to be having a couple of different terms applied to them, one of which is wit. Wit, of course, is Dutch or Flemish for white. And this is going to be along that line, okay? It's going to be a little bit more white. In Germany, There's something called a Weissbier, or a white beer. That's just the German kind of term for the same thing that the Belgians had. And it's mostly commonly referred to as a Berliner style of beer, but also comes from a Bavarian style. And you're going to hear a little bit more about that coming up shortly. Now, there's a term called Weizen. You'll see this a lot on shelves. You'll see it someplace else. And actually, there's two words that are blended together to make this next style. Now, a Weizen usually means wheat. So, and it's often attributed again to your Bavarian style beers. We've had some of these, and I think they're absolutely fantastic. Now, there's another term that's usually applied to Weizens, is Hefe. Hefe means yeast in German. And when you take Hefe and put it to Weizen, you have a Hefeweizen. You know, early in the review, I said that it didn't have much of a clove flavor, and sometimes they may have a banana flavor. Well, I beg to differ. I've had some Weizens or Hefeweizens that have had a distinct clove flavor. Franziskaner has, to me, a distinct clove flavor. And I've actually had some Hefeweizens that have had this amazing banana flavor to them. And of course, there's the Belgian wheat beer. They're going to have a little bit of a spiced flavor to them. You have an orange peel. They're going to have a refreshing citrusy flavor. They may be a little bit hazy, okay? They could also be very clear, but they are wonderful, especially in the summertime. Now, we're going to be looking at an American wheat beer. They're listed as being refreshing and approachable. It's become increasingly popular in the United States. Unlike German counterparts, American wheat beers tend to be lighter and have a more pronounced hop character. The appearance usually is going to be pale yellow to a golden color, slightly hazy. You're going to see this one here that we have is going to be slightly hazy and kind of cloudy in appearance. Low to moderate grainy, bready, or doughy characteristic, often with a citrus or floral hop aroma. Today, our beer that we have here today is from a place in Durham, North Carolina called Fullsteam Brewery in beautiful Durham, North Carolina. It's around the Raleigh area, so if you're ever in the Raleigh area, please go by there. Let's get right into the review of this beer. I'm going to go ahead and crack into it. Full steam, right? We're going to go ahead and find out what makes this tick. I get my fingers into it. Okay, not much of a hiss, but that's okay. Not much of the head coming through the bottle, which is good. I don't want to spill it all over the place. Now, we're going to pour it. I've got my wheat glass here. I'm going to kind of decant it a little bit, so let's go do that. And it's coming in. It's actually pretty clear. Now, oddly enough, in a wheat beer, one thing you can do is you can wait until it's finished and swirl it around a little bit. See if there's anything left in the bottom. Sometimes there is. I do this with, I don't really drink them much, but Blue Moons. Okay. And I'm going to get a little bit more of that. There we go. That's what I was looking for. What we have here is a little bit more of the remaining trub off the bottom of the can. Now, this has been sitting in my refrigerator for quite a while, so it has settled quite a bit. Now, what we've got here is a nice golden, well, kind of lighter, kind of a hay-colored beer, and it's now slightly hazy. It came out very clear because it had settled a bit. It's got some really wonderful colors. Now, normally we judge these by the 5 categories of the Beer Judge Certification Program. Of course, the aroma, the appearance, the taste, the mouthfeel, and the overall impression. Now, we're gonna smell it a little bit. We're gonna see what happens. Yes. I can actually smell the hops in this one. Naturally, we had noted that American wheat beers can have a little bit more of the hop aroma. It does kind of have a little bit more of a banana smell to it, but kind of a banana bread. Remember, it's going to be a wheat beer, so it's going to have a bready flavor to it. Now, as for the appearance, I just mentioned that, of course, it's kind of pale yellow. It is going to be straw colored. It's hazy because, of course, I took the can and I swirled it and I got what remaining trub off the bottom of it. And it hazed it up quite a bit. It came in very clear. It's not very effervescent, so there's not a lot of head to it. Let's do the taste. Yeah, I'm tasting a little bit of a banana bread flavor. I'm trying to gather that. It does have the bread taste to it. You're going to be tasting that liquid bread. Remember, that's what we said a good wheat beer is liquid bread. Very reminiscent of pretty much anything you're going to get over in Europe. It doesn't hit you with an overall one flavor. This is what you're going to get. Now, in terms of the mouthfeel, it's kind of dry. It's not real sweet. It actually fermented down quite well. The malted wheat, you can definitely notice that there is that nice tinge of, not sour, but it gave that dryness to it that was very welcome, which I think is really fantastic in a wheat beer, especially during the summer. Remember, this is a good summer drink. What do I think about this beer? Well, I had this during the summer. Again, this is my little men's weekend over there at my little river house, and we bought some of this. I never heard of it before. It's actually called Biscuit. Now, that's kind of apropos, it being a wheat beer. It's Biscuit. And I actually fell in love with it. I brought this can back. It's been sitting in my refrigerator now for over 6 months. But it has really mellowed out. It really tastes very good. If you ever get a chance to go over to Durham, over there to Fullsteam, do. Now we're going to take a little bit of a walk around Fullsteam, so stay tuned. So I wanted to give you a little bit of information about Fullsteam Brewery. Being impressed with their offering here with the biscuit, I wanted to tell you a little bit about what Fullsteam is all about. I didn't really realize until I went on their website and I reviewed and I looked at their information and I was quite impressed. You probably don't know this, but North Carolina has actually undergone an evolution in brewing and in craft beer, to the point where we're actually producing malts. Yes, that's right. Barleys, wheats, anything that is maltable. And we have some local malt houses. But let's talk about Fullsteam. They launched in 2010, and they launched in Durham, North Carolina. Now that's a Research Triangle Park area. Fullsteam has purchased over $850,000 in southern farm-raised ingredients, from local barley to foraged black walnuts. As a craft malt certified brewery, there you go, Fullsteam is committed to sourcing from crafted malt houses, at least 10% in every beer we brew. So they're going to be pulling from local breweries and local malt houses to produce their beers. Beers with our plow to pint certification contain 100% Carolina malt and often include additional southern seasonal ingredients beyond the local malt. Remember I said we malt, that's everything but the hops. And the hop harvest, it's local hops too. So they do include some local hops. The beer specs on Biscuit is as such. ABV, 5.5%. IBU, 13. I'm going to say an SRM somewhere in the 3 to 4 range. Now the malt is Riverbend Appalachian wheat, Riverbend Great Chit Brewer's Malt, which is just pretty much standard 6-row or 2-row malt. Hops, Magnum. Well, from what they say, it may come from a local source. Yeast is a Munich Classic, so it's not necessarily going to be Belgian per se, but it is going to be more like the Munich or like the Bavarian styles. And there you go. that is our review of the biscuit from Fullsteam Brewery in Durham, North Carolina. Okay, so stay tuned. We're going to bring this full speed home. And thank you very much. Be right back. Well, folks, that is our review of Fullsteam Biscuit from Durham, North Carolina, Fullsteam Brewery. Thank you very much for being here. Remember, subscribe, right? Ring that notification bell. Get notified the next time I have a video. And if you're around, tell your other friends, tell your other beer-loving friends about the channel here. We love having new people around. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a like. Give us some love. It helps us grow the channel. And we definitely want to bring you more and more content. Absolutely glad to have you here. Now, we have a few things here for you today. Remember, we have the Beer Review Logbook. This comes off of Amazon, $8.99. You cannot go wrong with this. It's a nice little book. You can write down your beer experiences wherever you go. Keep it in your pocket. It's very portable. It gives you a lot of good information about beer, especially when you're out and about. You just need that nice hit of information. As well, we have the Beer Judge Certification Beer Score Sheet. Now, that right there is a fantastic little document. Take it, you print it out, and it's going to give you an area for you to write your beer experiences down. It's even more portable. Fold it, put it in your pocket, take it with you, and it gives you a little bit more information as to what you're tasting when you're tasting your beers. If you're ever in the upstate of South Carolina, remember the Upstate Ale Trail. Now, the Upstate Ale Trail is a great little document. Go to any, I guess you would say, any tap room, any brewery, sometimes a restaurant, and you're going to find this sitting on a little rack. Pick up one. It lists most all of our breweries in the upstate area. And as well, if you're ever in the Raleigh area, hit up some of those breweries. Those are, just amazing amount of breweries in the Raleigh, the RTP, Greensboro, right? Even down to Wilmington. Those breweries right there, Charlotte. I was talking to somebody the other day about that. So definitely go look for those breweries there. Now, as we always say here on the channel, Prost! Chin Chin! Kanpai! Salud! Slancha! And of course, from America, cheers! What your good girl can do. Banana bread for breakfast. Lovely stuff. Peace, love, and beer.